The NFL has no idea how to defend the Seattle Seahawks. Their offense leads the league in explosive passing, passes of 20 plus yards, yet they also have the league's highest rush rate. They are an anomaly. Despite Sam Darnold's resurgence, they're a run-first offense with a running game that is ranked just 30th in efficiency, yet they are overall the 9th most efficient offense. Why do they run so poorly and keep doing it? And why do they pass so effectively but don't do it enough? Darnold has the highest average depth of target in football, the highest yards per attempt too, and a lot of the Seahawks' biggest plays come from play action. They average 14 yards per attempt when using play action, and they do a lot of things to set it up. Yet, once again, why do they run so much? Before we dive deeper to answer that question, I want to thank this week's sponsor, DraftKings. DraftKings isn't just daily fantasy, they have same-game parlays. You can live bet a game that's happening right on the screen right as you're watching. So if I'm ever at a buddy's house and he's got whatever on in the background, this is how I make it fun. New customers can turn $5 into $300 if your bet wins, paid through bonus bets. The crown is yours. So if you use my code RollinsNFL, you can turn $5 into $300 if your bet wins, paid through bonus bets. The Seahawks do several things to force defenses to defend the run so they can set up the play-action pass. They do this by running the most in the league, like I said, but also by using personnel very intentionally. They are the only team in the league to use 4 different personnel groupings on more than 10% of their snaps, where they're consistently swapping out wide receivers for tight ends and fullbacks. I'm going to bring all 22 players into the frame here to illustrate what the Hawks are doing. We hear the term nickel a lot, which is when the defense brings in a third cornerback to cover the offense's third wide receiver. What the Seahawks are doing is swapping out that third receiver for a second tight end or at times a fullback. So the defense wants to match that to make sure they have like bodies on the field to match up better with the offense's personnel. Now with just 2 wide receivers, we need just 2 cornerbacks, so defenses swap in a linebacker to better match up with the offense. This creates less speed on the field for the defense. So if you run play action, there's a linebacker in the spot where there would be that nickel cornerback. You now have a slower linebacker in coverage, making it easier for the Hawks to hit on these big explosive plays. They've also made the transition to operating under center a lot, second most in the league, only behind the Rams. With the quarterback under center, you can run any run concept, and play action is more convincing. And so between the formations they use, under center, the heavier personnel they use, and then the fact they do more run than anybody, defenses are terrified of the run and are committing to stopping it. In fact, defenses play more base defense against Seattle than anybody else. Base defense just means we have that extra linebacker in the field. Nickel is when you swap him out for that third corner. And on top of all of this, the Seahawks face the 8th most middle of the field close coverages, basically meaning they face a ton of 1 high safety coverages designed to stop the run instead of 2 high safety coverages which are designed to stop the pass. As we've talked about a million times the last couple years, the NFL's been shifting into a 2 high safety league to stop the Mahomes and Joe Burrows of the world, so the Seahawks are doing everything they can to reverse that trend. Get more 1 high safety coverages so they can more easily attack these heavier run-first defending defenses with the pass. When defenses play their typical 2 high safety coverages, they remove this deep safety from the box, which gives the Seahawks an extra advantage in the run game. The more tight ends and fullbacks they pack into the box, that just provides more bodies to create double teams, extra rushing lanes, and this terrifies the defense, even if the Seahawks aren't great at running. So when defenses rotate that safety down to play in the box and help the running game, this is one of the main reasons why the Seahawks play-action pass concepts are so effective. Here's the Seahawks under center burner concept, where Torrey Horton, and now this will be Rashid Shaheed, runs off the cornerback deep to open up space for JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba running across the field. Because the Jaguars rotated into a 1 high safety coverage to defend the run, look at how this stresses their defense. With 2 high safeties, Andrew Wingard could cut the crosser and still have a guy helping on any post routes or if Horton cuts back over the middle. And then you can see how it affects Dennis Gardeck, whose responsibility is the D-gap. When the Hawks motion both their tight ends over, Gardeck has to scream down to attack what's called a 4-man surface, a guard, right tackle, and then 2 tight ends. And maybe if Gardeck played this the exact same way, but was a nickel cornerback, he'd have the speed to get into better position to defend this. Then when the defense tries to adjust and run 2 high safeties, now they're running cover 4 so that they can cut a crosser. Actually, this is the same defensive alignment Belichick used to ruin the Rams in Super Bowl 53. You can see the 6-1-4 quarters look. Well, you can see the Jags using the same thing here, since the Seahawks have a similar scheme as McVay. And watch how Wingard hesitates for the intermediate route. Well, Sam Darnold is not afraid to bomb you over the top and attack you on every level of the field. When defenses shift to man coverage, just play one-on-one outside and have everybody focus on their gap so they are not in conflict like we saw Gardeck a few plays ago. The Seahawks run this spear concept and absolutely wreck every man coverage they face. With JSN, Cooper Kupp, Shaheed's going to be awesome with this, using speed to run away from one-on-ones. Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator, has done a terrific job of implementing this McVay-type scheme, and you can see how he utilizes shifts and motion to play the defense like a puppet. The Saints are trying to stay in too high, but because each defender is a run-fit responsibility, one of the safeties has to fit his gap from depth, which is one of the main reasons why the run game is so effective against too high coverages. Safeties have to fly all the way down from deep to make a tackle. It's hard. And Kubiak knows against zone coverage, motion will force the defense to bump a gap over, because with a receiver motioning across, there's now an extra gap up top, and a need for more coverage up top. Kubiak knows Justin Reed has to fly down to fit the C gap, especially with Kubiak building another 4-man surface. And look where the opening Darnold throws it to, right where Reed was supposed to be defending. The last part of this offense, besides the scheme and personnel, is that Sam Darnold is playing absolutely out of his gourd. Throughout the time I spent charting this offense, he repeatedly makes big-time plays on third down that extends drives, and without these big-time plays and big-time throws, a lot of these drives are coming to an end. And while this is a heavily schemed attack, Darnold makes big-time throws on the regular. For example, defenses do a lot of things to try to slow down JSN, like here they're playing cover 1 man cross, where it's man coverage, but Darnell Savage is coming down to essentially double JSN over the middle. But when he motions, you can see Savage and Quan Martin switch responsibilities, so now Savage is the deep middle safety, and Martin's gonna cut the crosser. When Kubiak aligns JSN in the backfield, now he's got the entire field to run his route. In, out, deep, or shallow, and look at what happens. Jonathan Jones has to sit for this option route, in or out. That's usually what wide receivers are running from this backfield alignment, and they almost never go deep. Jones has good coverage on JSN, but look at this throw. Touched in just perfectly into the dead zone in the defense, just over Jones's head. The Seahawks passing game is schemed up, but Darnold has made every single throw on the field. The Seahawks are a fascinating offense that leads the league in rushing percentage, but is not very good at rushing, and leads the league in passing efficiency, yet doesn't pass the ball very often. Their offensive goals is set up big play-action pass opportunities, and while they are frankly bad at running the ball, this creates better looks to hit you deep, and they've taken advantage of every one of those opportunities. By using heavier personnel with multiple tight end sets, and at times adding a fullback, and by frequently going under center and running a ton, defenses are being forced into run defensive coverages, which open up the Seahawks' entire passing game. While there's been chatter from the Greg Olsons of the world, his take is to stop dedicating all this attention to their run game if it's not good, focused instead on the pass, which is very good. I don't think it's that easy. Getting gashed repeatedly in the run game is devastating, and if defense is focused on the Seahawks passing game, then it could be the run game that'd take off. Offensive football isn't always good and bad, it's where the defense is focusing their attention on stopping something. And since the Seahawks are forcing their hands, forcing that attention onto their run game, through 9 weeks, a 6-2 record, Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are absolutely high flying.